This is how I would learn tech sales if I could start over. For context, I actually work for an IT company now, but before that I was actually working as a media buyer for different digital marketing agencies. I've worked in real estate as an agent, investor, and a mortgage loan officer. And before that, I actually played professional basketball in Spain in the FIBA League. So yeah, I've done quite a few things. But in order to tell you what I would change, I first have to tell you what I did. So let's start with my first entry into what I thought was a big girl job, which was a real estate agent. And it was probably the worst time to get licensed as an agent because it was right before the pandemic in 2020. And this is where I really learned how to cold call strangers. I cold called thousands of homeowners trying to see if they wanted to sell their home. I dealt with a lot of rejection, but I eventually did start to do some deals. So this helped me get the reps in and get my confidence up while talking to people. But eventually I realized that I couldn't really deal with the inconsistent income. Then I decided to get a full-time job working as a media buyer, or what's known as a pay-per-click specialist. And this is where I actually saw the upward career trajectory of making anywhere from $120,000 to $150,000 in income as like a digital marketing manager or something in that realm. But that would take at least 5 to 7 years, and I saw myself working really long hours, but it didn't necessarily reflect what I was getting paid. And then I came across tech sales, and it seemed like, honestly, it was like a match made in heaven. I could use my skills from the marketing side of things, and I could also use my skills from the sales side of things and combine them into one, especially working for a software company, because during my time as a media buyer, I used all types of different software. In fact, my whole job was based around software. And then I realized with tech sales, there's so many benefits. You get a great base salary, plus commissions, plus bonuses, which are accelerators, plus you get your typical 401k. Sometimes you also get stock and equity in the company. And not only that, a lot of these tech sales jobs are 100% fully remote. So you honestly, to me, you can't beat that. And a lot of these entry-level tech sales positions, you can actually start out from like $70,000 to like $100,000 and above. Now, not everybody's gonna make $100,000 in their first year, but there is the opportunity to do so. And even beyond the $100,000 mark, you can make $500,000 to $1 million or more working in tech sales. And this is exactly why I knew I had to jump into CourseCareers. So let me tell you exactly what I learned. I learned all about the sales basics, which includes the business organization structure, the ideal customer profile, your buyer persona, and the sales cycle. I also learned about sales skills, which included how to hit your quota, how to do cold outreach such as cold calling, cold email, and social selling on LinkedIn. Of course, I had to learn about software, specifically using sales tools like different CRMs, sales engagement softwares, and sales data software. I also learned about the sales process, like basically the overall sales methodology. And what was most important for me to learn about was actually the interview and the job search section. So this basically taught you how to create your resume. It gave you a certificate of completion of the course. They also hold free workshops on a weekly basis to help you fine-tune your resume even more on a more personal level, so you can like ask questions and stuff. This section also taught you who to reach out to after you make your application and how to reach these decision makers, because that's how you actually push your resume to the front of the line and actually get interviews more often. And they also teach you exactly what to say using email templates. And what you really need to know when it comes to breaking into tech sales, specifically as a sales development rep, which is the entry-level role, is that you literally need to do the job to get the job. So what I mean by that is this: the SDR role requires a lot of cold outreach and follow-up in order to get in front of certain prospects that may actually end up purchasing your software. That's what you actually do in your role when you get the job. So you have to apply the same principles that you would use in your job in order to get your job by reaching out to the right people, whether it's by cold calling them directly, sending them a cold email, or even reaching out to them directly on LinkedIn. And one hack to help you with this is to actually start following industry leaders in the tech sales space on LinkedIn, because a lot of times they'll actually drop their own numbers or like their hiring managers' numbers directly in a comment so you can call them, because a lot of these hiring managers actually appreciate when you call them, because if you're cold calling them, sending them emails and messaging them, then they know that you can actually do the job. And that's basically how they test the market. And this brings me to my main point, which is you actually don't have to spend $50,000 to $100,000 on a college degree or even a crazy super expensive tech boot camp in order to land a tech sales job. You just need to find the right program with the basics that'll teach you how to get into that entry-level role. And that's exactly what CourseCareers does. Not only do they teach you how to actually perform and excel at your job, but they teach you exactly the steps that you need in order to land multiple interviews and accept a job offer. And the best part is you can actually go through the course as fast as you want or as slow as you want, because it's self-paced. It takes the average person about 1 to 3 months months to get through it. Myself, I actually went through it in about 2 weeks because I was not playing. I was very serious about getting a job. And 2 weeks after that is when I landed a job. 4 weeks in total is what it took me to get through the course and land a job. And keep in mind, I did this from the hours of about 9 p.m. to 11 or 12 p.m. at night because I'm with my son all day and I spend my evenings after I put him to sleep applying for jobs. So if I can get it done in that 2 to 3 hour time slot, then I'm sure you can too. So let's talk about the differences between a traditional sales job and a tech sales job. And a traditional sales job is anything like a real estate agent, mortgage loan officer, a roofing salesperson, a solar salesperson, or even like an insurance person. That's usually like traditional sales roles. So one thing all of those roles have in common is that they are 100% commission based. So there's no base salary, you eat what you kill, you're a 1099 contractor, and yeah, there's no additional pay besides your commissions, which to me is very, very unstable because the months that you don't sell anything, they hurt bad, like real bad. And these are sales roles where you're usually out in the field, like with real estate agents, like you can make your calls, but you're usually meeting sellers or buyers in person, trying to help them look for houses or trying to look through their house to see how you can help them sell it. So you're usually in person, same thing with roofing, solar. So all those different jobs are usually out in the field, in the different types of weather, hot, cold, dark, light, whatever is going on outside, you kind of have to deal with that. Another thing about those types of jobs is that they're unpredictable hours because you could be working basically from the very beginning of the day to the very end of the day, especially if you're doing anything door to door, and especially if this is your main thing because you literally have no other way of making money besides those commissions. Also, the career growth is pretty questionable. I know a lot of real estate agents who have been agents for years. A lot of them don't invest into their own real estate. They just end up selling real estate like for the rest of their lives, and they don't have any exit plan. There's no retirement plan, like there's nothing. Okay, so now let's talk about tech sales, which I'm a little biased, of course. You literally can't beat a sales job where you have a great base salary and you get high commissions. And this is why tech sales is one of the very few like sales careers that I think are extremely stable. And honestly, I think this career is future-proof because working with software companies, there's only going to be more and more software companies developed. Tech is only going to get more complex. It's only going to get more advanced, and more companies are going to need your help to sell their software. The hours are predictable, usually 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, no weekend work. And honestly, if you are extremely productive within your 8 hours of work, I've learned that a lot of high top performers in tech sales actually don't need to work overtime. Of course, occasionally, if you do, it's not the end of the world because it's a lot easier to work overtime from home than it is to work overtime out in the field. So overall, better work-life balance to me, because if you're working remote, you just have so much more flexibility, whether you want to go cook something really quick or you want to just step outside for a little bit or you need to run to the grocery store. You just have a lot more flexibility as long as you're getting your work done and your employer is seeing the impact that you're making in the company. So tech sales has a really high job security because, like I said earlier, software, tech, all that stuff, those companies are just getting bigger and better. And there's a direct, clear progression from sales development rep to account executive to mid-market account executive to enterprise account executive or SMB account executive. There's a clear path that you can see of how you can progress and make more money in the field. So I like that because that's where you kind of get that job security of, okay, I know how to reach the next level and I see what the next level is. I know what the next level is going to pay and what it's going to entail. So I really like that as well. And this is just a personal hot take. I've tried a lot of businesses and side hustles in my past. And what I've learned is you really don't need a side hustle or a side business if your main job is something that you like and is also something that gives you the opportunity to make more than what most business owners actually make. So when you commit to a job like this and you know you can make high 6 figures, it just takes a matter of effort for you to actually make that commitment. So put your effort into your tech sales job, make that high 6 figures. You don't need to start a side hustle if you don't want to, or a side business. Just invest it properly and you should be able to create a long-term future plan for yourself. So with that being said, I honestly think that CourseCareers is the best way to get started if you're looking to break into tech sales in just a few weeks like I did. So as I mentioned before, I actually went through the course in about 2 weeks and it took me only 2 more weeks to actually land the job. So in total, 4 full weeks of taking the course, finishing it, getting my certificate, applying for jobs, going through interviews, and actually landing a job. Yes, I was very serious and very dedicated to making this happen. Now, I must say that is pretty fast, but it was because I was relentless in my job search. But I am not special because I'm not the only one that has done this. There have been many students that have gone through this course and landed jobs in a matter of weeks or months. And you can see all the different testimonials if you actually go on the CourseCareers YouTube channel. And I actually made it a goal of mine to become another testimonial because I was so serious about this. And if this video is posted and I'm not there yet, I know that I'm actually going to be there because I did land a job and they want to interview people who have landed a job to actually show that the course works. So if I'm not there yet, I will be soon, I promise you. But I say all that to say you can be the next testimonial if you decide to go ahead and go through the course and actually land a job if you choose to do so. And I'll leave a link down below in the description so you can actually check out their free introductory tech sales course. It's free, so there's really no harm. So this is what you want to do after you've basically established an understanding of the basics of tech sales. You want to go within the CourseCareers network, which is in the Discord group, because after you join, you actually get put into a Discord group where you can access everybody who's ever taken the course and different chats within the Discord. But basically, you want to connect with every single person that has actually landed a job, because here's the hack to that. If they've landed a job, there's a possibility that their company might be hiring sales development reps in the moment. So you can connect with those alumni of CourseCareers and reach out to them, specifically asking about their experience within the company and ask if you can use them as a referral when applying for that job. I did that for a lot of different companies that I was applying to. I connected with every single person from CourseCareers that was working in that company, and I just asked them like how they're doing, how they like the company, and let them know that I'm looking to apply and if they have any advice or tips and if they would be okay with me using them as a referral. And that's how I landed multiple interviews. And you also want to start connecting with the account executives at these companies as well, because not only do some of them post content and post when they're actually hiring, but also you start to learn and get an understanding, a deeper understanding of things that are actually going on live in the field from these people, because they post about certain situations and they post learning lessons that you can actually take from and apply that when you do get hired, or even talk about it in your hiring, or even talk about in your interviews. I also recommend you tune into a podcast called 30 Minutes to President's Club. It's on YouTube and it's on Apple Podcasts and all the streaming platforms. It's a really good informational podcast that'll actually help. I think it's more so geared towards people who are in the role versus people who are trying to get into the role. I would say if you're looking for information on how to get into the role, that's basically what CourseCareers is about. But once you get into it, you want to go dive deeper, and yeah, I would recommend their podcast. And I also bought their book too. It's actually called Cold Calling Sucks, and that's why it works. I don't know if you can see it, it might be inverted, but yeah, you want to constantly be learning on this job, not only because it's a life skill, but because it'll really help you make more money at the end of the day, because it's going to help you close more deals. So always be learning and just always look to figure out how you can be better in your role. But yeah, if you don't want to read, then just watch their YouTube channel. And what you want to do in order to also help you land interviews is you actually want to practice cold calling and practice cold emailing. So if you do join the course, you can actually get together with study buddies. They encourage that to help you do mock cold calls, because that's something that you're going to have to do in order to land the job. That's usually a part of the interview process. And as I mentioned, in order to even get an interview, you might have to call, the hiring manager, cold call the hiring manager to, put yourself in front of the line. And what I recommend if you do join the course is to definitely utilize the free workshops that they have every single week, held by different coaches. So you can literally hop on a workshop almost every day or every other day, because different coaches are hosting their workshops. A lot of them are free, some of them are paid, but most of them are free from what I saw. There's really an endless amount of information and help that you can get from the course and from the people in the course. And just know that you'll get out what you put in, and that's not just sales, that's life. So if you've made it this far in the video, I'm assuming that you're super interested in starting a career within tech sales. So make sure you check out the first link in the description. So go through the free tech sales intro course. You have nothing to lose, and it'll ultimately help you decide if this is something that you really want to pursue. Also, feel free to comment down below any questions that you have about tech sales. I'm going to continue to document my journey, because I truly believe that this career is life-changing, it's game-changing. So stay tuned for the next video, and I'll see you guys next time.